going on, everybody? The Buckeye Roast coming to you at 8 a.m., 8:10 for some. But we in here. We in here. Not too bad. Good morning, everybody. Ron is back in here as usual, partnering with me. Ready to talk some Buckeye ball after this Notre Dame game, man. 17-14 game, Ron. Still feeling good?
I am. I'm feeling good. I'm still riding the high of the victory. Not enough to get me up on time, but I'm here. Still feeling good. Still feeling good about my Buckeyes. Happy to get the win. So excited to be here to talk about it. I'm definitely in a much better mood than I would have been if Chip didn't get in at the end of that play. We might have been on a hiatus until about Wednesday and a little bit of time to recover. But man, we're having a good time, man, celebrating this win.
Yeah. Well, let me give a shout out first. Charles Green was in here. So, good morning, gang. Most definitely. Shout out to him. First when they hear you, always get a shout out. So, today we're going to talk our thoughts after overall. We're going to hop into a little position groups and things like that and some takeaways from the game. So, excited to get into that. But before we do, I want to make sure you like the video. Got 50 people in here already. Go ahead and throw that like on. We did a great show yesterday. So, if you missed it, Buckeye BS, go check that out. Obviously, we got Bleach Report stuff coming up. That'll be next week, so we'll give you a heads up on that.
We're on Bleacher Report today at 3.
Oh, we're on today. Okay, for today, I thought we had a week off, but no, they working us. So Bleach Report today. Obviously, Mike and the boys are on Wednesday, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. The Fans Edge, and then that Saturday pregame show, man. Saturday pregame show is killing it. So make sure you check that out. So a lot of stuff coming. If I miss anything, Ron will hold it down. He'll let me know what I missed. But yeah, man. So let's get into it. So first, want to talk your overall thoughts of the game. And we're 48 hours out. We've had a chance to recap. We talked about it yesterday. Now, give me your overall thoughts of the Notre Dame game picture.
Just overall, just happy with the defensive play. We talked all last week about keeping them under 17. We were able to hold them to 14. There were a couple times there where I was like, oh, this defense can't get a stop. Like, they're just going to march down this field and score. And they got multiple stops on fourth down, forcing turnover on downs. They're able to get some of these tough plays, and it's like you see them give up like 3 third downs, and it's like, man, are they ever going to get the stop? And then they finally do end up getting that stop and finding a way to get off the field. And it felt like some of the times that Notre Dame was having more success than they actually were, because obviously you saw how it played out on the scoreboard, but it felt like they were able to drive the ball a little bit. And there were a couple times that I was concerned during it, but to be able to see this defense really put their foot down when it really mattered and be able to get off the field was huge. Seeing Kyle step up in that last moment, I haven't had a chance to rewatch the game yet, but I did rewatch the final drive a couple times, and I mean, it started off ugly. I mean, we threw 2 screens that were incomplete. One, he launched completely over Trey's head, and then he just settled in and got it done, was able to deliver a strike on 3rd and 19 after the intentional grounding call and get us down to the goal line, and ultimately for Chip to get the win. But overall, I'm feeling good. I love the way the defense was able to get off the field. I love that Kyle was able to step up in the final moments of the game. Did he throw a touchdown pass to win it? No, but he delivered a strike to get us down to the goal line on 3rd and 19 on a play where, I mean, honestly, when that snap started, I was getting ready to go live on Bleacher Report and start talking about his Notre Dame a national championship contender. Like, it seemed bleak in the moment, and the fact that we were able to pull it out and not waver in the moment, it was great to see from my team. And then the energy from Ryan Day after it is just something that we've been begging for. Like, we need Georgia Ryan Day every week, and he seems to really have an energy and motivation to him that we haven't seen in years past. I think he's heard the noise, he's heard the outside noise, and he's sick of being disrespected. I mean, Ryan Day has the same amount of losses as Marcus Freeman, and he's been doing this how many years longer? Like, this is Ryan Day's 5th season. Marcus Freeman's in his 2nd, and he's already has the same amount of losses as Ryan Day. So I think he's absolutely heard the outside noise, and you know what I mean. He's ready to shut up the critics, and I love that from my head coach.
Yeah, man. Team showed a lot of grit there. It wasn't the prettiest win. I will say that, but for both sides, both guys or both teams came in and played hard, and obviously the defense is more so the star. They showed up and really showed out. Yeah, they did end some drives when we wanted to, but eventually they got stops. They didn't give up a lot of points. And definitely, you saw some stars really in the making in the secondary, and obviously the two D tackles were it for me. So yeah, super impressed. We went in there and got the win. It's a top 10, so Notre Dame ain't no slouch. I don't know if they're quite national championship level, but we'll get into that later. But very good football team. The offensive line, man, those dudes were balling out. Most definitely, that was the star for me, and their defense also played very well. So on into that, what momentum do you see coming from this one? This is very early in the season. We didn't quite know what this team was made of, and you call it escape with a win or pull it out, whatever you want to do. They got out of there with the victory. Now with a bye week, able to build on that and show up in a couple weeks against Maryland. What momentum do you see coming from this, and what team do you expect in a couple weeks?
I think the momentum continues to roll. I feel like the amount of confidence that Kyle McCord should have coming out of this game, I feel like is going to change him fundamentally as a person. I feel like that is a life altering game that Kyle McCord just went through, as far as his fifth start, being able to get a win on the road against a ranked team like that, with all of the doubts surrounding this quarterback competition coming into the season. There were people still calling for Devin Brown at halftime. So to put those people to rest and be able to really focus on being that guy, and then enjoy what comes with being the man in Columbus. Like, I guarantee people are going to be looking at Kyle McCord different as he moves around the city these next 2 weeks during the bye week. I feel like people in the locker room are probably going to be looking at him different, because there's a level of confidence that he has earned from the fans and from his teammates, I feel like, with his performances. And I feel like that's going to just continue to allow him to grow, be more comfortable and more sure in himself. And I think we're going to continue to see Kyle McCord get better week in and week out. And I feel like he's really going to be able to ride the momentum from this win, and the confidence that he's going to have around him.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping. Usually, you hear it as like a team really makes a jump from week one to week two. After this victory in week four, going into week five for us, week six for everybody else in the Maryland game, I'm hoping this team makes a major jump. As good as I think Notre Dame is in some parts, I think they certainly didn't have the weapons to challenge us on the outside and truly make it very scary going down the end, and that's maybe sort of their Achilles heel. So I'm hoping everybody on this team is like, okay, we can be beat. If we really want to go and get that natty, and that's where my concern is, because I think it's the team to do it. We really got to jump and make our play exceptional at all positions. So Kyle McCord started with him. Up and down the game, got it done when he needed to. Looking for that consistency there. Hopefully, he continue. He's throwing dots at the end of the game. I'm like, give me a little bit of those. Don't scare me so much. Give me a little bit early, which he did make some plays, and his wide receivers got to come through for him. Mecca did have that drop in the end zone that we talked about. So guys got to come through for him as well. But hopefully we get that consistency going through, because those guys got to get better. Love what I saw from the running backs. I mean, Travion Henderson, talked about him as RB1, and he really showed us why on the one play he made. Chip came and got the game-winning touchdown. I thought those guys were good, given what they were given the blocking they were given. It was tough sledding, so guys definitely were worth their weight in gold. The offensive line, pass blocking was really good. Kyle only had one sack, and that's really much what you can ask for. So definitely the questions that we've had, a lot of units are getting better. So I just want to see that team momentum, and this team has to get better. It's kind of be like that 2014 where early on it was like, I got questions, and slowly it started to build, it started to get better, and you start to see the openings of that with that victory right there. So can't even wait to see what this team looks like in 2 weeks. So following that, oh, you got something?
I was just gonna say, coming out of that victory, like, does that calm you in regards to Kyle McCord? Like, do you think the next time that he's in a big moment, will you have any doubt in your mind, or did you see enough on Saturday to believe that, like, he is the guy for the moment and won't waver? Like, there isn't, like, do you think that there's a moment that Kyle will see the rest of the year that could be too big for him? Because one of my biggest concerns in that game on Saturday was, how does this team respond if they go down a touchdown, 2 possessions. And I feel like that's something we still haven't seen from Kyle or this team, how they respond to being down. So that's one more thing that I'll be looking forward to see from this team. If we're never losing at any point this season, I'm completely fine with that. But I feel like my one remaining question is, how does Kyle respond when the team is down by multiple scores? Do they waver? Do they give up? Or are they able to rally and have a comeback? Do I want to see our team down by 2 scores at any point? No, but I feel like that's my only remaining question of how do they respond to that moment, because being able to drive down the field in the last seconds of the game and get a touchdown is big. I just want to make sure that this team doesn't have any quit in them if things don't go their way early.
Yeah, I mean that question still looms, and this was a very low-scoring game. I never thought Notre Dame had the weapons to truly threaten us or make it a shootout. I thought our defense would come, and they did. They came and brought their lunch pail. They showed up. They showed out for the most part. They were pretty exceptional. So I don't know if we get into a game with a team that really has the personnel to put up points on us, if our offense can quite keep up yet, because the only offensive explosion we really seen was against Western Kentucky. So still have those questions there, but it's only week 4. That was a good team. They got room to get better. So still questions to be answered. But Kyle, he showed that in the big moment he can do it. Now it's just continuing to do it. I mean, Penn State's going to be a game. Michigan's going to be a game. So that is where there's going to be probably more points on the board, and you got to show up and continue to be able to go put 35 up or maybe 42 up in a win against a really good defense. So we will see. Still much to be desired, but so far so good. He's doing it. So I'm not completely concerned, but I ain't about to be like, yeah, let's roll into Georgia. We gonna put up 40. So got work to do. So my next point, I want to talk to you about obviously the Lou Holtz comment. Ryan Day right after the game going after Lou Holtz, which in my opinion, yes, that's what I want to see. But I want to get your thoughts and thoughts from the chat. What do you think about Ryan Day's post-game comments? Something we have not seen from him. We've seen fire in moments, but in a post-game conference, that's a new one for me. So in the moment, what were you thinking?
I mean, I was thinking that I hope Vince McMahon doesn't give this man a call and pay him enough money to go to the WWE and stop coaching Ohio State. Bro got out there and cut a whole damn wrestling promo, but I loved every second of it. I mean, if you watch, anyone that watched the show last week knows that we did our top 5 reasons why we hate Notre Dame, and I wavered on 1 and 2, which one should be 1 and 2, and I'm so glad I stuck to my guns and I kept Lou Holtz at 1. I said I hate this man. I dislike Lou Holtz with a passion. And the fact that he came out and talked crazy about Ohio State one day after I said that is crazy. And then the fact that Ryan Day and the team used that as motivation. I don't care how old Lou Holtz is. If you're gonna get on the microphone and talk crazy about the team, like what, no one's allowed to say anything back to you because you're old and won a national championship half a decade before I was born. I personally don't give a fuck about Lou Holtz. And I don't feel bad. And everybody's like, oh, this is so corny. This is why Ryan Day is so hateable. Like, well, that's why he's not your coach. Like, I think that Ryan Day went out there and defended his team, and people were so comfortable criticizing Ohio State, saying that they're underachievers, saying that they don't get it done, saying that they get it soft, or saying that they're soft. And I just don't think that Ryan Day had enough. Like, he was sick of hearing them talk like that, and now everyone has a problem that he responded. I mean, it's been 3 straight years of hearing that this team's soft. They can't get it done in the big moments. I mean, Lou Holtz rattles off a list of teams that Ryan Day lost to, but while ignoring that Ryan Day has 3 total regular season losses through 5 seasons. So overall, I just thought the comments were ridiculous by Lou Holtz, and I feel like Ryan Day matched the ridiculous energy. And of course, just because people don't like Ohio State, they're mad at it and need a reason to be mad. But I mean, clearly he used it to motivate his team, and his team bought in. Kyle McCord just plays the biggest game of his life, and he's in the locker room celebrating, screaming, "Where you at, Lou Holtz?" So clearly Ryan Day knew how to get to his team and bring that energy out of them. So if Ryan Day knows his team and felt like that's the energy that he needed to give to rile them up, I mean, kudos to him.
Yeah, 100%. Did not expect to see him come out like that. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, me and Mike are just sitting there ready to do the post game show. He's just going out of Lou Holtz, and I'm like, wait a minute, I did not expect to see this at all. But well warranted. He got called out on national TV. We've talked about it all summer. People have been calling out this team. This team is soft. Blah blah blah. Ohio State is pussy. Like all that, and it's just like, where's this coming from? Like, do we not just go play Georgia in Atlanta and not look soft in the least bit, on the edge of taking that game away? And unfortunately, at the end, it didn't work out. But if we were a soft team, Georgia would expose that. Like, that would have been the first thing. I'm like, oh, hell, we in for a long day. So just because Michigan has a couple big runs at the end of the game, the team is soft now. So
And Ryan Day touched on that too, because he said it's one bad half of football, and now we're soft.
Like, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's one bad half because the year before was a bad game. I mean, it just was defensively. We weren't stopping them, and the scheme was just all over. It wasn't softness, but the scheme was just all over the place. But yeah, this was the point. They didn't show for the half last season, so I can see that. And too, like, you played a better team at the end of the season, well better than Michigan was, and you did not look soft. Your defensive line held their own. Your offensive line held their own. So I don't get where this soft thing is coming from. I mean, these teams that aren't soft lose week in and week out. So apparently, I know you being soft, you might have a better chance of winning. So I don't get it, but I love them going after Lou Holtz. I mean, anybody that talks people who are like, it's weird energy. I guess people, like I said, people just talk about your mom, and you're like, all right, that's cool. Let's keep it moving. So I love it from Coach. I just want to see it consistently. I want to see it throughout the season. I want to see it during the game. Don't run a wide receiver handoff on 4th and 1. Line up. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It happens to the best of us. But line up and say, fuck it, we're gonna run it down your throat, and we'll get the first down, just like we did at the end of the game. So love that energy, love to see it, and I have no problem with him calling out Lou Holtz. So let me check in with the chat real quick. Make sure y'all like the video. We got 47 people in here. I see people talking. Yeah, they love what Ryan Day said. Let's see what we got. People talking about some positions, Ohio against the world. Chase, you got my number. Of course, you got a problem with me, call me. You can't call me, you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. I love it. I love it. All right, so I want to go to Ryan Day's performance in the game. And we're going to talk about Ryan Day and Jim Knowles. So I want the chat, give me your grades on Ryan Day in the game and Jim Knowles in the game. Let's start with Ryan Day, Ron. What is your overall grade for him that game, and what would you say? Break down his performance for
me. A C plus. That was the most Ryan Day game experience I've ever had in my life. I mean, it was the typical roller coaster experience of, is he the best play caller in college football, or does he need fired? Like, some of those play calls were so ridiculous on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. Like, I mean, that jet sweep was probably one of the most inexcusable calls that I've ever seen. Our inability to really, outside of the final play of the game, be able to run the ball in short yardage is still a concern and something that we're going to need to address. But as far as Ryan Day, it has to be C plus, just because it's like at some points you're like, he's potentially the greatest, he's the best play caller in college football, and then at other points you're like, who gave this man the playbook? Like, there's just, it's the typical experience. I always say that Ryan Day play calling is a roller coaster because you never know what you're going to get. It's up and down. I mean, I think he's great, but sometimes he gets in his own head. Like, you'll see goofy shit. Like, we come out from half and 3 straight runs against Michigan for a 3 and out. Like, what are we doing here? Jet sweeps. We made a joke on the show. I think it was maybe after the Youngstown State game. I'm like, I don't want to worry about our inability to convert in short yardage. Like, he has to be hiding some of his best plays. And I said, an exact quote, there's absolutely no way when the game is on the line that we're going to be running a toss to the boundary. Like, there's no way we'll run a quick pitch to the boundary. Like, that play makes absolutely no sense. Like, he's clearly just using throwaway plays in the playbook against Youngstown State because he's not going to show something. And then I'm watching the game. I'm like, did I just see that boundary pitch again? Throw that play away. It stinks. I don't want to see it anymore. Throw it out of the playbook. The boundary pitch just needs completely eliminated. I know the playbook is completely full because they tossed out the QB sneak. We didn't have it in the playbook at all on Saturday. I don't know what happened to it, but get rid of that boundary pitch and bring back the QB sneak, because that play stinks, and we could have gotten multiple first downs with a QB sneak. I don't know why Ryan Day is not a fan of it, especially like we have two quarterbacks. Like if someone falls on him, Devin Brown got to come in. Like I'm just not hearing the like we can't run a quarterback sneak. There's no excuse.
Oh man, yeah, I'd probably put him in like a C. There's some I like, some I didn't like. I truly wonder how much having Coach K Dub leave and not be in the box is affecting Ryan Day. I mean, you clearly see when those two put their heads together and they had a game to prepare for, they would cook teams, and you would see immaculate play calling. And early in the season, we've seen some good, some bad. Through every game, we've been like, why would you call that? What's going on with that? So definitely having Coach K Dub leave, I'm sure it's an adjustment period. It's still very early in the season, first big game. So I think Day will catch on. Obviously, we want to all see the Georgia Ryan Day, him really go after teams. Young quarterback, like we've all said, Coach K Dub walks out. So I still expect it to improve. But again, my big thing is I want to continue to see him scheme up guys. Marvin Harrison Jr. finishes with 3 catch, 30-something yards. It's not enough. Not enough for a guy you talk about. It could be the best receiver ever to play here, or even remotely close. You got to find ways to give him the ball. I thought they did well with Emeka. I thought he did well with Cade. Julian, I agree. You got to continue to scheme him up. He's just not going to get open consistently to where you need from a wide receiver 3. So continue to scheme guys. I like the use of running back so far. I'd love to see him do with guys on the outside, but I would have to give him an overall C. So
before we move on, I got a quick question about Ryan Day. Someone in the comments suggested that he should be in the box, and then Gojay said he designs good plays, but he has no game flow. He's too invested emotionally on the sidelines. Do you feel like Ryan Day gets in his own head sometimes with just getting caught up in the emotion of the game, and that hinders his play calling a little bit just because he's so invested in everything going on the sidelines? And you know what I mean? One of the things that he talked about was like last year, not being in, like, wanting to give up play calling because he felt like he needed to be in more of a CEO role. We've heard over the past 2 years all of the different things that Ryan Day has had to deal with, in addition to being the play caller. Just all of the different things around the program. You know what I mean? The growing demands of NIL, the ever changing landscape of recruiting, the transfer portal. You know what I mean? You had Quinn Ewers showing up early last year. You have a first-time defensive coordinator. Like, you just have so many different things going on around the program. Like, do you think Ryan Day, between everything that he has going on and not being able to step back from a play calling perspective and still having to be that play caller as well as being a CEO in this changed landscape of college football, do you think he has too much on his plate?
Yeah, I've been thought he does. I mean, we had this conversation in Spaces a long time ago. You know, when's the last play calling head coach who completely had control of the offense? You know, win a natty. Like it's been a long time, and it's very tough to do. I think Day is really good at his job, but also too now he's in a position where he doesn't even have a guy who's been an offensive coordinator before helping him out. So it just adds more to the perspective. You got to trust who's in the box and telling you what's going on. So it's just a lot of moving parts. And for Day to call plays just standing from the sideline and then having to worry about the defense and having to worry about the special teams, it is truly a lot. I mean, I hope this offseason with the addition of Joe Philbin, it would help out and kind of spread it out. But he's not a full-time coach. He's an off-the-field analyst, so there's only so much he can do, and you're relying on Brian Hartline, who's over there standing next to him. So it's like he's not seeing from the field. I actually don't know who's in the box.
Like, and one of the things with Ryan, I wanted to add in is that, like, when we got Jim Knowles, one of the things they used to talk about, they used to call him like the mad scientist or some shit like that, because they said he would, like, during game weeks, he would just disappear into his office, close the door, and then like pop out on Wednesdays with like this master scheme that always worked under Mike Gundy when he was at Oklahoma State. And I think about that as Ryan Day as a play caller. Like, at what point in the week do you think Ryan Day is able to just disappear, not talk to anyone, not answer any questions, and not have anyone asking something of him, and he can just really lock the door, cut on the film, and write out a script for the game. Like, I just feel like that time is probably limited for Ryan Day, and he doesn't have as much as if an offensive coordinator with less responsibility than Ryan Day was calling the plays or scheming up the game plan.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. He ain't got time for that. You got press conferences, you got room meetings.
That's what I'm saying, Ryan Day. What's your favorite Pop-Tart, bro?
He develops the quarterback. I mean, he's got so much to do. So definitely agree. It's probably taking a little away from his play calling. And we'll see if he adjusts going, later in the season. It's a wait and see mode. Play calling is really going to be important, especially when we get into those bigger games in the Big Ten. So hopefully they get it together. Hopefully somebody can help him take a little bit off his plate. I remember talking about the more coaches show they can do, the more he can kind of dish out and get away from. So guys got to step up if this team wants to elevate. Got a couple of weeks to kind of readjust and do that before we play Maryland. So definitely will look forward to that. So everybody, I want you to give me a grade of Jim Knowles. You just talked about him, the mad scientist. He was in his bag. So obviously this week he disappeared until Wednesday and came out and said, all right, Notre Dame, I got something for you. So give me your grade for Jim Knowles and talk about the defense overall.
I give him an A. The only reason why it's not an A plus is because I feel the lowest graded position on the team, the lowest graded players on the team on defense were the linebackers, Steel Chambers, Tommy Eichenberg, two lowest PFF graded players on the defense, and that's Jim Knowles' position room. So I can't give him an A plus because I would like to see a little bit better performance out of the linebackers. But overall, I thought the defense played great. The one thing that my biggest concern was coming into this season with Jim Knowles is, are we going to be able to limit the big plays? Because he talked about playing offense on defense, but I felt like that lost us games at times last year because we're Ohio State. I don't think we need to play offense on defense. We need to go out there and play stout defense and not give up these explosive plays and put our team in bad positions because we're getting off the field so fast because the other team is just constantly getting explosive plays because we're gambling on with zero blitzes and things like that. So I feel like Jim Knowles was able to find a balance of ways to bring pressure without putting this team at complete risk. I felt like they did a good job getting off the field. He used to say when he first got here, I don't want to be considered a bend don't break type of defensive coordinator. I don't like that. I like to be aggressive, but like that's what we need right now. We need a bend don't break defense. If like we saw a couple longer drives where the defense still found a way to get off of the field. So overall, I have to give Jim Knowles an A. And it's been like everybody wants to nitpick this defense, but it's so hard to be critical of a defense that, I mean, arguably is winning these games. I mean, we haven't seen 10 points going into this game. We'd given up 13, something like that. And then we only give up 14 against one of the things that people kept saying, Notre Dame scored 40 last week. I don't care. Like, Notre Dame didn't play Ohio State. Like, let's see them put 40 on us, and they didn't. And we said the number was 17. If Ohio State holds them under 17, they'd win the game. And they went out there and held them under 17. And we heard on every platform that we talked on last week, there's no way they keep Notre Dame under 17. And I mean, Ohio State went out there and looked like the defense that we anticipated seeing. Again, we didn't see the gaudy sack numbers, but one of the things that we've talked about is getting it done when it matters. It may not show up in the stat book the way that people, or in the box score the way that people want it to, but at the end of the day, they're holding teams to less points than our offense, and that's all that matters. And it's not like we're in these shootouts and they're getting stops at the last minute, and it's just like, oh, thank God Jim Knowles got one stop. It's like he's keeping our offense in the game and allowing our young quarterback not to be rattled because he's been able to keep us in the games and not let these get out of hand at any point. So shout out to Jim Knowles. I hope we see some improvement from the linebacker play. Saw a lot of Cody Simon out there, which is a good sign, I guess, just because it shows a willingness to adjust situationally. So I'm hoping he's able to find more answers there at the linebacker position in the coming weeks as far as continuing to evolve this defense and level up the play. But overall, you can't be too critical just because, I mean, that is his position room, so I won't give him the A+, but he does get an A for the performance. I thought that was a great performance by our defense and Jim Knowles.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he brought it. I would probably give him a B+. At times, I didn't like not quite bringing pressure and leaving Sam Hartman so much time back there. Sometimes I felt like he had all day. I'm like, man, somebody's going to be running wide open here in a second. But luckily enough, They, like I said before, they didn't have the weapons to really threaten our DBs. And also, too, Jim Knowles is going to be better this season just strictly because of personnel. I mean, you don't have to worry about 3 undrafted guys in the secondary getting beat, or, a guy just, he had a guy missing a tackle, or Michigan went for 80, and now we brought in one of the best tackling cornerbacks, we've seen in recent years. So definitely the personnel is upgraded. Don't want him bending, don't break. I like to be aggressive at times, but picking your times. And don't do it when it's 3rd and 8 and go cover 0 when you're on the opponent's 20. That's not it. But at times, bring the heat and don't give a quarterback a lot of time. So I think Jim Knowles is really finding his balance, and that's the key. You don't have to completely go away from what you do and what makes you you. I mean, Dr. Blitz 4.0, as Chris would say, you don't have quite, but you could be 1.5 at times. You know what I'm saying? Bring it sometimes and we'll be good to go. But got to give him a B+. Yeah, some position groups got to level up a little bit, but Jim Knowles brought it, held him to 14. We scored 17. What am I going to complain about? So definitely happy with that performance.
Before we move on to the next subject, I want to just let everybody know we got 70 people in here. Make sure you smash that like button. We appreciate everyone pulling up this morning. So make sure you smash that like button. It helps us a ton in the algorithm. So go ahead. If you haven't done that yet, make sure you smash that like button.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Quick thoughts on Notre Dame before we jump into a couple positions and get us out of here. So, quick thoughts on Notre Dame. Were they better than you thought they were? Worse? About where you thought they were coming in?
I think they were better than I thought. I thought this game would get out of hand. I thought that, while Tyleik Williams and Mike Hall did have big days, I thought like it would show up like crazy, like as far as like wrecking the game early on. I thought we would see some turnovers by Sam Hartman. I thought they would get a lot more pressure on him. And then I thought we would see a lot more explosion out of the offense. I'm always perplexed when it's the second quarter and we still haven't thrown the ball to Marv, and then they run the cheat code play. It's like, oh wait, we can get 8 yards every time if we just put Marv on a slant, and then they do it, and it's like, oh, we have one of the best wide receivers in college football. Let's start throwing him the ball again. So overall, I was surprised by Notre Dame. They were definitely better than I thought. They held up on defense, or they definitely held up on defense more than I expected. Their corners, for the most part, played well. Didn't get cooked too bad. They really challenged this team, and they definitely put up a better fight than I anticipated. It's just something. They're just such losers. Like no one wants to give them their credit until they really like beat it out of you. Like I'm just like not. I'm not really trying to hear from Notre Dame. They don't win anything. They haven't beaten us since Lou Holtz. They've never beat us in Lou Holtz's lifetime, and he's old as fuck. So I'm just not ready. I'm not arguing with Notre Dame fans, and they have to prove it to me before I give them their credit. But hats off to them. They came in and gave us a fight, and I think this is a much better team than I anticipated, and better than Notre Dame teams of past. So hats off to them. I think they played a tough game. They almost got the win. So overall, I have to, give them their credit. Definitely a tougher team than I expected.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought they brought it for the most part. Offensive line, defensive line. They played well, and secondary matched up with our wide receivers pretty fairly. So I thought they were really good at points. Just probably missing a couple of weapons on the outside, and they can truly threaten to be a playoff team. They're just young out there. So yeah, thought they did well. I want to ask you about Tony Alford and his use of the running backs. Obviously, this was the game most important, and we kind of saw where our rotation breaks down. Can you break down Tony Alford for me and what he did well with the running backs this game?
No, I'm not going to break down Tony Alford for you. I'm going to champion for Tony Alford to get a raise, and I'm going to keep talking about it every week until when we see those numbers for the coaching staff come out and we put them side by side from the previous year, that we see that Tony Alford got the biggest raise on the team. People have been critical of him for his misses in recruiting, but it's like we had this conversation with Perry Eliana. Are they misses if the room hits every time? So, like, yes, did you not get the 5-star back? Did we want to get Bijan Robinson? Absolutely. But, like, at the same time, Ohio State arguably has one of the better running back rooms in the country. You could argue the best. You could argue top 3, top 5. The 1 through 5, this room is so deep. To be able to get Chip out of the linebacker room and say, hey, this is a guy that we could use, and be able to get him back on on this offensive side of the ball and contribute the way that he has been able to have Mayan still in there. I mean, there were people arguing that Mayan was the best back on the team last year, and he's barely getting any reps right now. And then you don't even stop at Mayan. You had Dallin had 3 100-yard rushing games as a true freshman last year. Evan Pryor, you know what I mean, was a borderline 5-star running back, and he's RB4, RB5. So overall, Tony Alford, even with misses on the recruiting trail, has put together a great room. They're performing. One of the things that I said earlier in the season, it felt like the rotations were based off of seniority. You would see Trey come in, you know what I mean? He's the number 1 overall back in his class. He's the 5-star. He's the one that everyone anticipates to play. Mine's the older guy. He's been there. He stepped up in moments when we didn't think we had it back. He deserves to play second. Chip's an older guy. He's done everything that the team's asked for him. We see him third, sometimes fourth. And then Dallin and Evan. But it was like these rotations don't make sense. We're putting Mayan in on the third drive just because it's the third drive and we feel like Mayan deserves to play. But now it seems like they're using them more situationally. They're trying to get Trey out in space. They're trying to run Trey and stretch. They're trying to get Chip in the most meaningful minutes, like as far as the red zone we talk about with Chip. One thing that he enables this offense to do is stay on schedule, because even if the line doesn't have their assignments or the play gets blown up in the backfield, he has that jump cut. He has that elusiveness that he's able to make something out of nothing and at least get a 3 or 4 yard gain, or at least get back to the line of scrimmage if something gets blown up in the backfield. So that ability to stay on schedule and get those tough yards, that I think is a much added part of this offense. And I feel like Mine's getting a raw deal because they try to use him as a goal line back. But I mean, when you see him run out on the field, like, I mean, the whole stadium screaming run. Like everyone sees him come in and it's like, all right, well, they have a tackle in with a line or with a tight end's jersey on, and we have Mayan Williams coming into the game. I wonder what they're going to do. And so I feel like the predictability is hurting his production because he is now moved into more of a short yardage situational role. But overall, I think that Tony's starting to move towards a more merit-based than seniority-based type of rotation. And I feel like these situational uses of the backs is just taking the offense to another level. And the more balance that we find in that and getting these guys in the best positions to use their talents, because I feel like all of these backs do different things well. And the more that they're able to get these guys in the best positions, like, I mean, we just saw Mike jump in the chat, and he says this all the time. Trey's best with speed and space. Stop running him to the boundary. We know this guy, when he gets in the open field, can run past an entire team. Why do we keep running him towards the boundary? So I feel like that's something that we're working through. But as this running back rotation continues to evolve, I think these players will continue to be put in the positions to best utilize their skill set, and not necessarily more of a senior rotation or seniority-based rotation that I felt like we've seen in years past.
Yeah. I mean, I think Tony Alford did his room very well. It's actually interesting coming from the Notre Dame game where they had 5 backs just rolling them in and out. And I was like, well, that's interesting. They're actually going deeper than we are and using them to a pretty well effect. I thought they were. I don't know why quite Mayan has been subject to such goal line. I mean, I thought in this game where it was really tough sledding with the offensive line as far as running. I thought, especially when they didn't want to run to the outside, I thought Mayan would have been a good choice. I think he runs inside well. He's a tough runner. I think he's probably the toughest runner on the team. He's not as elusive as Chip, but definitely people ain't bringing him down except on that, 1 4 for 1 where they brought him down. But there's only one carry. So we'll love to see that rotate. I would love to see rotation more as we were going in the first week with Mayan used not just in the goal line to make it so predictable. Still haven't seen Dallin yet. I'm still interested to see, what he has. And hopefully, I'm hoping in these next few weeks as we get away from, playing more Maryland, you'll start to see a couple more guys and to help our health going down the line. But I think Tony Alford has done well. I mean, running backs have definitely not been a weakness on this team. And with the wide receiver group so loaded, it's like, okay, running backs are still shining in here. They'll still be productive. So got no complaints with that so far. I'll keep it rolling. Next, unless you got something.
I was going to say we got to get out of here quickly, but I did have one more topic that I wanted to make sure that we got to before we get out of here. I see looking at the show notes, and we got about 3/4 of a show still written. So you're probably like, I wonder which one he wants to get to. And you know damn well what I want to talk about before we get out of here. What the fuck was that kick at the end of the game? You have to be kidding me, Parker Fleming, bro. You are the biggest joke of a human that exists on this earth, bro. We have 1 second left in the game. All you have to do is squib kick it. Squib kick it. It's just like we can't enjoy a moment with Parker Fleming like not running in the room and reminding us, hey, you guys are wasting money on me. Like, we have 1 second left in the game. You need to squib kick it and get someone to the ground. And Mance kicks it out of bounds. If you're not going to keep the ball in play and end the game, kick it out of the back of the end zone. But no, we take a penalty and kick the ball out of bounds. What, like, were you like still just so in the moment of winning the game and like Chris? We were in the studio before the Bleacher Report game, so I could see Chris on the screen while the game was ending, and everybody's all hyped, celebrating, and I'm like, Parker Fleming still has to do something for us to win the game. And there would be nothing more Parker Fleming than squibbing the kick and having it run back on us. I was like, I am not celebrating. I'm not hitting live on the stream until that clock hits 0 because the game is now in the hands of Parker Fleming and anything could happen. When I saw that kick, I like it honestly like sobered me for a second, like as far as bringing me down off the high of the game because I was like, oh my God, we just won. And then I'm like, Parker Fleming has to like run in the room and remind us that he exists.
Yeah, I was just like kick it out of the back of the end zone. They got a better chance of running this back than they do scoring our defense because they barely score our defense the entire game. I like kick it out. Just kick it out the back. They got 1 second. How they have 1 second, I'm still not over that. How he run.
I'm confused how this is, and I need you guys to let me know in the chat. How is this not Parker Fleming's fault? He does not recruit. He does not have a position room outside of specialists. How is it not on him that every time it comes time to it comes down to execute anything outside the basics of kick the ball out of the back of the end zone or kicking an extra point, he finds the way to screw it up. We're not able to get a line on fake punts. We two times last year. We're getting we don't have good coverage on kick returns. We're getting kicks returned on us in the Rose Bowl. When you have these type of plays that involve some sort of level of execution, like a squib kick, that is something that needs rep in practice. You should know who you need to put on the field, and they should be prepared enough for the moment that if you're a specialist, your job is to kick the ball. Like that's like putting a quarterback in that doesn't know how to hand the ball off. Like kick the ball and play. Like you're telling me that you don't know you don't have a kicker on your roster. Your recruiting kickers. At one point we had what? We had so many kickers on staff last year that we had them repping at cornerback because they were the overflow position on the team. It doesn't make any sense that we can't execute a play as simple as a squib kick. Like I know that he can't go out there and kick the ball himself, but there has to be some level of accountability on the coach that your specialists are able to run every type of play. No, like it's not like we asked him to go recover an onside kick himself, like the kicker. Like we said, Jaden Fielding, you are a scholarship athlete, a defensive D1 kicker. You're telling me you can't keep the ball in play? Like I know Parker can't go out there and kick it, and it's not completely in his control. But at the same time, you need to have your players prepared enough that they can execute something other than a basic kickoff.
Very true, man. You only got one job, so do it correctly. And I see Mike saying, Vegas was the reason there was 1 second left. They had to get that, had to get to that -3. So, so apparently, I agree with you on that one. But yeah, I was worried when he squib kicked it because I was like, oh, here comes some nonsense. But we got out with the win, man. Can't complain. We won. Parker Fleming lives another week in Buckeye lore. But yeah, man, we got more notes. So we'll get to it tomorrow, and obviously we should get our presser probably tomorrow. It's a bye week, so we may have to wait a little bit. So we'll save some stuff in case they leave us dry a little bit. But yeah, that's all I got. One, make sure you like the video. Make sure you sub. Everybody put on their best Doreen impression and share it on Twitter, man. If you share it on Twitter, I will give you a shout out tomorrow morning. Most definitely will do that. So appreciate that. Ron, you got anything else you want to quick before we get out of here?
No, make sure you tap in with me and Chris Drew on Bleacher Report at 2:30 today. We will be talking more Buckeye football. Can't get enough. So if you don't have it downloaded already, make sure you download the Bleacher Report app and tap in on the Ohio State team stream. We will be live at 2:30 today, me and Chris Drew.
Yeah, so they'll be live. Buckeye Roast every morning, 8 a.m. Remember to tap in with us. Fans Edge on Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Got that pregame show Saturday morning. You want to tap in with me, City Boy Quentin on Twitter, Flyknit Johnson on Instagram, Minor League Films for Movies on TikTok and YouTube. Put up some stuff yesterday, so check it out if you want to. Ron.
If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at 2Ts. It's 2_TES. You can find me on Twitch. It's the same thing. On TikTok at 2Shiesty. And yeah, find me in the Bleacher Report app today at 2:30. And then we will be back here tomorrow morning for another episode of the Buckeye Roast every week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., depending on what time I wake up. We're going to be in at 8 a.m. We'll make sure we have the show up ready bright and early tomorrow. We appreciate you guys tapping in with us, and go Bucks. OH.
Ayo.
My hometown.